We now come to the last session of the day, which is a project showcase on the Dholera Airport. And for that, I'd like to invite on the dais Mr. Amit Chavda, General Manager, Dholera International Airport Company. I will quickly introduce him. Mr. Amit Chavda is General Manager at Dholera International Airport Company. He has experience in handling industrial and infrastructure projects in private and government organizations. Currently, he is involved in the planning, structuring and implementation of the Dholera Greenfield Airport project. In the past, he has worked at a chemical plant, Gujarat Industrial Investment Corporation Limited, and the Gujarat Infrastructure Development Board. He has also worked in sectors such as tourism, civil aviation, gas, urban transport, and railways. We can now have Mr. Chavda's presentation for about 17 to 18 minutes, followed by Q&A.
Thank you, Diksha, for giving my introduction. I know we are running short of time and will not delay the lunch. I'll try to be brief as much as possible. In that case, I would skip some of the informative slides. Yeah. Yes. See, Dholera Airport project is basically state-driven project, and in 2009 we actually conceptualized this project, considering the upcoming Dholera investment region close to Ahmedabad. Normally, we call it an innovative strategy of the state in the sense, normally city demands, based on the growth an airport, whereas in this case, before city comes up, we have planned and thought of an airport. And we applied a principle of airport-led economic development in the region. Basically, Ahmedabad, Dholera region is a relatively quite backward area, quite less industrialization, less economic activity. And in terms of land, if you see that ample government land is available there. So with SIR coupled with airport project, that entire area can be developed in terms of aerotropolis as well. Normally, any greenfield airport project has to be in a PPP mode as per the greenfield airport policy. So state government formed a GR to form a company which can translate or facilitate this project, wherein we kept option of equity investment from not only government organizations, central government authorities like AI or DMSCDC, but even from private companies as well. After forming this company, we have done all the master planning, groundwork, DPR, getting various approvals in hands, so that at the time of selecting a private developer, without any further delay, this project can be implemented. So normally, this sort of property is not it is not practiced in normal PPP project except ultra power projects. We did try to even innovate a concept called bundling, considering the airside constraint of the Ahmedabad project. AI, now it has been privatized, but earlier AI too thought of having another airport, and planning of any airport, it takes about 7 to 10 years times, right from identifying land, getting land and clearances and things like that. So we requested airport authority about how good this airport could be for them, and if they can join while doing a bundling sort of a thing for traffic and operational synergy. But that privatization process was on, and therefore that project, the idea was dropped. But later on, AI thought about having due diligence of this project and thought of parting with the equity of this project. And currently, this company is a joint venture of Airport Authority of India, state government, and DMIC-DC Trust, which is called NICDIT, National Industrial Corridor Investment Trust. So far, what has been done in this project as such was conceptualized in 2009, but what has happened between 2009 and 12, that has kept in different slides as a project learning. In January 2012, we formed this company. We got the pre-feasibility study by AI. Government earmarked and reserved about 1426 hectares of land. We obtained clearances like NOC from Ministry of Defense and site clearance from Ministry of Civil Aviation. JICA was also interested in this project and they carried out a DPR engaging Japanese consultant for the due diligence of their own companies. We conducted public hearing and also obtained environment clearance in November 2015. We have with us in principle approval from Ministry of Civil Aviation. This site is facing bit inundation issues. So WebCos was awarded a flood mitigation study to make the hydrological assessment. And since it was supposed to be in a PPP mode, with the help of DMIC-DC, we appointed a transaction advisor to transact this project in a PPP mode. We have the land, the site, and having another issue of, the clay or the soil is not so good. So we carried out a geotechnical study by IIT Gandhinagar. After AI, as I said, AI in principally, agreed for equity participation in November 2017. They asked us to prepare DPR based on which they can take a decision. And finally, AI decided to become 51% equity stakeholder in DSL in November 2018. It was subject to certain stipulations in terms of a state support. I'll cover these things in another slide as well. But state government overwhelmingly, supported this project, and we have agreed with each of the stipulations made by the airport authority. The main thing is land. Land is entirely a government land and there is no RR issue. By now, land has already been transferred in the name of the company at token rate of ₹1. The shareholder agreement between AI, Government of Gujarat and NIGDIT was signed in March 2019. So now, AICL is a joint venture of this. AI 51%, GOG 33% and NIGDIT 16%. As I said, various list of approvals we are having with. State has extended its support, making a decision in cabinet. Not only 1426 hectares of government land has been allotted at token rate of ₹1 per annum, but additional 75 hectares of land is also given to this company for city side commercial development. The flood or the inundation issues, for that state has undertaken the responsibility to initiate the mitigations measures outside the airport boundary. Within the airport boundary, it would be the responsibility of the company. State would also provide a road connectivity to the airport. There is an expressway connecting Ahmedabad to Dholera. That is the planning. It would be constructed under Bharat Mala project of NHAI. So airport would be connected with this access control expressway. So that connectivity again would be provided by the state. State would also exempt local property tax. Normally it is about 1% or so. State would also provide high tension uninterrupted dedicated power supply right up to the doorstep of the project. Similarly, water supply and drainage would also be provided up to the airport premises. So these are all the state stipulations basically. The state as is, land is allotted, city side commercial development land is also allotted. For flood mitigation, the irrigation department of the state has already appointed the consultant and that work is on. The Panchayat department of the state has already issued the concession or exemption on local property tax. For road connectivity, the roads and building department of the state has already appointed a consultant for work out the alignments. The high tension line, once alignment is finalized, then high tension line along with the roadside would be provided, and so the water connection as well. In all, the state support would be close to 700 crores. It's a significant amount. The site requires huge amount of landfill as well. So on excavation of this earth, also government has in principle decided to exempt the royalty charges. The site is in this shape and that can offer about two parallel runways. The upper one is about 2,900 meters, whereas southern one is 4,000 meter. This is what the master planning done by PwC based on our earlier reports carried out by JICA and Airport Authority. Later on there is a change, I would cover in the next slide. So firstly, we decided to develop the upper runway 2,900 meter. After having on board, AI decided that initially in early years there would be less traffic, so that this project should be, airport should be more on a cargo based. So they thought of, having, a longer runway. So to make this 2,900 meter long runway into 4,000 meter, we need to acquire, on the both side of the runway, some amount of the land, which is about 100 acres, we need to acquire. On the right hand side, इसमें कैसे हो सकता है? इसमें नहीं हो सकता? So this is basically government land, and this portion of the land is, with some private land parcels. So it would be acquired by the state, and thereby the 2,900 meter runway would be converted into 4,000 meter with end-to-end parallel taxi. But initially, the runway would be developed, of 3,200 meters, and further in future, based on demand, it would be extended to 4,000 meter. So phase 1 development plan, according to now AI, is to develop this, first phase land would be close to 500 hectares. The runway would be of 0624 orientation, 3200 by 45, full length taxiway. There would be 2 rapid exitway, and uparound can accommodate 6, code E and 9 code C aircrafts. The terminal building would be about 35,000 square meter, and initially passenger handling capacity is aimed to, about 3.5 million. So these are all the technical details basically. If I have to talk about the timelines of implementation of this project, in that case the flood mitigation report by State Department would be completed by this month. Similarly, another assignment of IIT has been given, IIT Gandhinagar, to make the soil testing of airport side as well as the earth from where, the soil land parcels from where we have to claim the earth, and they would give us amount of admixtures and how to strengthen this soil. Engineering consultant as such has been selected by Airport Authority, and site development work, we understand first it would start with earth reclamation. It would start from April 2020. In the meanwhile, Airport Authority of India would also appoint PMC for this project, and the work on terminal building, runway and other things would start from by the year end. Similarly, operations of ATC and CNS in January 2022. So in December 2023, we understand the project would be operational. This is the scope of engineering consultant basically. They would prepare the concept design report, final profile level, ballpark estimates, building and other infrastructure, DPR and things like that. So this is basically the workflow. I'm not going to into it. There are a few other slides on how Ahmedabad spillover traffic would be available. but I'm not going into it. But as such, Ahmedabad has its own limitations. Ahmedabad airport, existing Ahmedabad, they have a partial taxiway, and it cannot be further extended because of the development. And currently, I understand Ahmedabad airport has a peak hour capacity of 20 movements, and we understand even if you go by moderate 10% growth, as such Ahmedabad is having tremendous growth. In last 4 to 5 years, it is CAGR is about 18% or so. So they would reach to this capacity. So in absence of sufficient parking stand, partial taxiway, absence of rapid exit way, we understand that after 13-14 million they would start facing problem, and by the time of 2025 a spillover traffic would be available to Dholera airport. So while calculating the traffic, we have segregated into primary hinterland. That traffic would be available from the Dholera SIR, secondary hinterland, that is nearby cities Kheda, Anand, Baroda, and other few cities, Bhavnagar. The 1.5 hours travel distance catchment has been considered, and spillover traffic. Baroda is another major city in Gujarat, which is about 100 kilometers from Ahmedabad, and from Dholera it is rather equidistance. From Dholera it is 112 kilometers. Baroda airport too have its own limitation. On both the sides of the runway there are national highways, so they cannot extend their runway further. And the 2,600 meter existing runway can only handle Code C type of aircraft. So for international this thing, they need to either come to Ahmedabad or to Baroda, Dholera in future. So this is showing the catchment of Dholera. This is how the airport is connected. That DFC corridor passing through the state. In red dotted line it has been shown the expressway. The expressway ROW is considered 100 meters. In 70 meters there would be 6-lane express way, whereas 30 meters is spared for metro alignment as well. Metro ridership based on traffic demand, metro planning would be done. There are nearby ports as well, Pipawa, Hazira. So in the early years, initial period, this airport would be more of a cargo movement airport. This is one informative slide. Basically, Gujarat is a border state facing Pakistan, and all the major airways, whether it is Jamnagar or Nalia or Bhuj or Jodhpur, are quite near to Dholera. So this airport could be worked as a backup supply arrangement, and the nearby Dholera SIR can accommodate defense and aeronautical industries. So there is good potential. This slide prepared by a vision consultant, it speaks about that the aircraft connecting from London Heathrow to Singapore normally goes via Dubai. In future, if it goes by Dholera, in that case it can save about 174 nautical miles, about 322 kilometers. It's a sizable distance and can save a lot of fuel for a wide-bodied aircraft. This is about Dholera basically, but I'll come to the challenges first. So this project as such have a three major challenges basically. One is flood mitigation, second is poor soil condition, and third is land reclamation. So in monsoon and post monsoon, because of the the local runoff and rain in upstream side, this side is facing water inundation in about 4 months time. So as a solution, as I said, consultant has been appointed by irrigation department. We do have one report by Webcoast as a base study. So this upstream water would be diverted through canal or channel sort of a solution, and it would be drained into Gulf of Cambay. At the same time, airport side would be raised by 3 meter of reclamation. Soil is poor because of it's basically close to sea, so it's marine, saline soil, clay silt. Water table is about 3 meters and some point, and 3.5 meter soil is very soft. So solution is the land reclamation of about 3 meter, and this excavated material from the near by borrow pits would be further treated with either cement or lime. In yellow down there is the airport site, and here are the government land parcels identified for excavation of earth, whereas the blue is a non-perennial river. Basically it collects the upstream water in monsoon and take it away to Gulf of Cambay. So this river as well as this government land parcel, this land would be claimed from the river and land parcels. While doing so, this river would be deepened, and thereby it would become a good water reservoir sort of a thing. So it would be helpful for the nearby villages for irrigation purpose as well. Now coming to the lesson learned, as such in 2009, we selected a 7 by 4 kilometer land parcel, which is entirely a government land, about 2800 hectares of land, sizable land. And Airport Authority of India carried out master planning and DPR, and they actually, as per their master planning, this site can offer 4 runways, parallel runways with end-to-end taxiway, 4000 meter wide, that is of international standard, that can meet the requirement of next couple of decades as well. But at that point of time, there was a draft CMZ notification was prevailing, or rather it was announced, and this notification was as such insisting that airport can be made in CRZ, and airport should be as away as from the city to avoid noise pollution and things like that. But later on, CRZ notification 2011 published, and according to this notification, no airport can be done in CRZ except Navi Mumbai. That was the exception made for Navi Mumbai, and because of that, we had to identify land out of CRZ, and we appointed Anna University Chennai to identify the land out of CRZ, and accordingly now our land mass is of this uneven shaped land mass, this blue and magenta lines showing CRZ boundaries. So with this land parcel, this is what the master planning done by Airport Authority in 2014, and accordingly the northern runway or the upper runway could be of 2900 meter, whereas southern runway could be of 4000 meter. Earlier, based on this master planning, we applied to Ministry of Defence and Ministry of Civil Aviation for site clearance. We got these clearances, but at the time of applying environment clearance or EIA, we came to know about this notification, and we did this exercise, and again we obtained these clearances. So that was a duplication of work basically. So now with this project would have first this 4000 meter upper runway and this southern runway as well. After 20-30 years, based on the demand, the second runway would be think of. So this is it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chavda, for your presentation. Before we move to the floor for questions, I have one or two questions for you. You mentioned about tapping the cargo potential. So do you have plans in mind to build a dedicated cargo terminal at the airport?
We'll go by the advice of engineering consultant as well. But as I said, this upcoming Dholera SR is quite in vicinity, hardly 7 to 20 kilometers away. So it's a good case of a cargo, airport.
Okay. Any questions from my left or right? Questions from the middle columns? Questions from the right and left? Questions or comments, suggestions from anywhere on the floor? Yes, can we have the mic here?
Hi, this is Anand Sirohi from Trimble. You mentioned the engineering consultant has been appointed late 2019. Who is the consultant? Rights is the consultant.
But that, internal finance department approvals and, once it is completed, then it would be made public. But Right has been, come out as a lowest bidder as such.
That has not yet been finalized.
It would be finalized soon, in a couple of days.
On the PMC part, you mentioned that it would be...
PMC would be mostly will start, in April or May probably.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the audience? In which case then I will close the session. Thank you so very much, Mr. Chavda, for joining us today.